A thread by Pat Scopoliti. 30 November 2020, MAGA analysis. Cyber warfare, the ultimate vulnerability. Yesterday, we got through the first half of the WTW interview, focusing solely on General Flynn's guidance. That conscripted 70 tweets worth of work on our parts. Today's work will be much briefer. In this morning's study, I only made it through just about 6 minutes and 45 seconds, from 31 minutes to 37:45 or so. Assuming breaking news doesn't change everything, I'll pick up right here tomorrow. You'll want to watch these minutes. Link in the thread, worldviewweekend.com, to the interview with General Flynn, and then after that, Mary Fanning and Tom McInerney. Pat continues. To lead into today's thoughts, I first want to review an idea I've discussed many times. Question. In the year 2000, were box cutters prohibited on airplanes? I've never looked up the exact law, but that's not what matters. Let's imagine they were. So what? For Al Qaeda, the most well-funded terrorist outfit on Earth at the time, the cost of a box cutter, an airplane ticket, and an indoctrinated and adequately trained jihadi were about as close to nothing as an operation could get. No actual terror was the purpose yet. Rather, the purpose was to test the system for weaknesses and also for details. Would the box cutter carrying jihadi get flagged? If so, what happens then? Hopefully he does and gets into the American criminal legal system. Then more learning. It is not coincidental that Al Qaeda was planning the 9/11 attacks at the same time China published its great military strategy classic, Unrestricted Warfare, discussed yesterday. The ability to test systems for weakness is critical to unrestricted warfare. It is also not coincidental that Hugo Chavez came into power in Venezuela in 1999, using CIA-created technology to suborn the vote. Shakespeare tells us, some must watch while some must sleep. In America, myself included, we've had altogether too many sleeping. Finishing up the Al Qaeda system weakness testing in preparation for 9/11, we must lay out a law of physics that applies also to every other system in the universe. There is no such thing as a weakness-free system. In physics, this is the law of entropy. One more quick historical point of reference. Most people do not realize that the very first communist nation was not the USSR. It was China. 5 years prior to the 1917 revolution in Russia, when Sun Yat-sen took over in 1912, he was an avowed communist. Believe it or not, 1913 is the year that American socialism embedded itself into our constitutional process with the most transformational amendments, the worst amendments in our history. American socialism's power era is from 1913 to 2016. Also, not a coincidence. As the radical left realized in 1913, there were weaknesses in our constitutional system that could be transformationally employed. That is what General McInerney explains in these brief 6 3/4 minutes about today. We are here again now. The testing system really does date back to Hugo Chavez's rise in 1999. The cyber warfare vulnerability of democratic voting systems had been identified and technology created to exploit it by then. Let's pause there. You'd think that completely bad, right? Wrong. History is needed again. Since the 1848 publication of the Communist Manifesto, one of the ultimate tactical and strategic objectives, one of the most important, was to redefine the term democracy. Every communist nation always claims to be a true democracy. How so? As only a communist government can represent all the people, and as the people require the Communist Party to express all of their will, then only a communist government can be democratic. This has nothing to do with rights or individuals, of course. Tactically, they have always operated by the following principle: the smallest number of radical loyalists may defeat the largest number of sleepy eyed citizens. How do they do this? They take over the democratic vote process. They vote strong leadership in. Voila. By 1999, society's complete embrace of computers as the location where truth resides was demonstrated by our paranoia over the Y2K virus. We did know that our entire civilization had migrated to computers and the internet. Everyone knew that. Well, imagine an actually loyal CIA knowing how dictators the world over suborn democracy came up with a technology to true the vote. I am not sure that was their intention, but I can easily imagine it. If you want to give the vote back to the people, use computers. In my patriotic scenario, there lives a hidden snake. China would surely know about every technology initiative at the CIA. If you can true the vote with technology, then you can also falsify the vote with technology. Again, pure speculation, but it illustrates the point. And that brings us to 20 years of systems vulnerability testing and development. The entire time that's happening with the broad consortium of bought out assets throughout government and media, the American people are perpetually fed their sleeping pills all day, every day. And that brings us up to now. In our Constitution, the best 18th century procedures to safeguard our new democracy are laid out. Obviously, 20th and 21st century capabilities, could not be imagined or conceived, let alone prepared for. Also, remember our judicial system, from the courts through the FBI to the DOJ, were all completely compromised and in the hands of internal enemies. Don McLean might write us a song about the day that justice died. There was no chance our legal system would adapt. None. This is precisely where we are right now. The enemies within have tested our entire platform of democracy and have found that their cyber warfare capabilities so vastly outstrip our public awareness and legal systems capabilities that they might easily pull off this fraud. We're on a legal timetable that races well past our ability to hit these deadlines while simultaneously proving the cyberware attack actually took place. What if corrupted court systems and technologically blind evidentiary requirements prevent proof? What if the media timelines lead a blind and sleeping America through this to the point of discouragement and surrender? Between our ignorance and our all too often weak knees, our risk is that we surrender. And while only 6 minutes and 45 seconds in, encouragement is already here. Even in the face of impossible to avoid weaknesses, have been identified and targeted, there is a countering principle we may call on. Truth does not equal falsehood. The good General McInerney tells us emphatically, America will demand we get to the truth. I, for one, believe him. Cyber warfare, who knew? Not me. I have a name for our mission to propose for your consideration. Hashtag truth warfare. Let's fight lies with truth. Let's see how our enemy exploits a weakness, face that weakness, and fix it. We know that for propaganda to succeed, its lies must be both hidden and credible, and propaganda only succeeds when its lies are believed as truth. The lie This was a fair election and Joe Biden won. The truth, Donald Trump won in a landslide. Not since the American Revolution have we more needed the clear hold on this eternal principle: the truth shall set you free. Without truth, there is no freedom. Would you fight for your freedom? Then fight for the truth. I'll say it again and again until I hear guidance from either General Flynn or President Trump, and even then, until I hear them use the word concede, I will not believe anything I hear about us having lost the 2020 election. The truth shall keep us free. I turn to my normal business day now, and I do so with calm, good cheer. No weakness in our imperfect system is greater than the great awakening of the sleeping giant of America that is the MAGA movement. Patiently, I await guidance and accept what guidance is given. You? This thread ends at 30. I plan to continue General McInerney's study tomorrow, and I leave you with the idea of #truth warfare and await your responses and ideas.